Many years ago now, I was in a small group and we made some really good friends in this group. And a friend of mine's wife and I got to talking, and we've been in the group, I think, close to 2 years. Many Bible studies together. If you're not aware of what a small group is, if you're in a bigger church, sometimes you break down into smaller groups voluntarily or otherwise, I guess, depending on the church. And then you all meet and do Bible study and so forth. I would say pretty necessary in a larger church, in my opinion. We loved it. Made some good friends, and one of them just blew my mind. I was talking to her, and I had told my story about how I became a Christian, and I said, "What about you?" And she said, "Oh, I've always been a Christian since I was born." And I got really worried for her. I was like, "Whoa, I don't know. That's doctrine. I don't know. It doesn't make sense." And I talked to her husband about it. I think they were married, or they. Man, it's been so long. Sorry. Okay, but I was like, I don't know, man. And I talked to her husband. He's like, yeah. And I prayed a lot about this, and I was like, if she hadn't told me she was a Christian, I might have suspected she was one anyway. The way she behaved, I mean, she behaved like a Christian. And through different Bible studies and everything, I came to the conclusion, you look at my experience of becoming a Christian is very different from the Apostle Paul's. Now, Apostle Paul, a different role from me. But if you talk to enough people, you'll find not everyone has the same experience in becoming a Christian. And if you look in the scriptures, the way the gospel is presented, as I've said many times already in the short amount of times I've been doing videos, the gospel is presented in different ways. The central reality of the gospel never changes, but the way it's presented changes. Because they're just different people that respond very differently. And we can't be too doctrinaire when it comes to someone's experience. We just can't. We have to be doctrinaire when it comes to the actual doctrine. So we go to the scriptures, right, to figure out what the correct doctrinal position is. What has God revealed? What do we know? So we know in this particular case, let's just go by some examples. So you look at, all right, the gospel has these essential tenets. This is some things we ought to know about the gospel, right? The death of Christ as a propitiation for sin, the resurrection, the ascension, right? But how that message is delivered, and how someone feels when they respond to it, or how they respond to it. I mean, if they accept the truth of it, believe it, have faith, what are we really looking for? I mean, now, does it mean you become a Christian and then nothing else happens? It's just no, right? I mean, we doctrinally, we also understand the scriptures that it's going to change someone's life. My previous video, at one point I was like, Lord, I wonder if anyone's even going to care that I'm offering up tips on ways to become a better evangelist. Is anyone even going to care? Is this something only I care about? And the answer is that, of course, yes, if people are Christians, they care, They may not need my advice, but the point is that people care about these things. Christians ought to, they do. And so as you're looking in the scriptures and what do they tell us? They say, we should be conforming to a particular behavior as Christians. Like we'll see a change in behavior. There will be change. It's there. You see that in the Bible, and so there's a doctrine we can rely on. They're not going to become less like a Christian over time, although there might be challenges. They're going to become more like a Christian over time. Again, there will be challenges. We understand this. Now, I was just reading this passage, and I really want you to hear this because it gets into an area I've really been struggling with lately, okay? This is Matthew 27, verse 19. It says, "Besides, while he was sitting on the judgment seat," this is Pontius Pilate, "his wife sent word to him, 'Have nothing to do with that righteous man, for I have suffered much because of him today in a dream.'" In a dream, one dream. Suffered much. I had a friend of mine, I was telling him about my dreams I've been having. And he's so right to be skeptical. He's just like, he's like, he's so funny. He's like, what happened that made him want to go on YouTube and make a video about it? He's such good counsel every time I need it. You need someone who's willing, to just come in there and say, "Wait a minute, hold on the brakes here, man." You think Pilate's wife never had a dream before? What was it about this particular dream? Bible doesn't say. We know God speaks through dreams. What is it? I don't know. I can tell you my dreams. I could never, these particular dreams, why they stood out. Would I say I've suffered much? I don't know. I wouldn't use the word suffer. Maybe something with the translation there. I should have done a little bit more study on it. I wouldn't say that I've suffered, but I would say that I have approached God a lot. Like, "God, what are you saying? You're in control of all things. If these dreams aren't from you, what are they? I want to honor you. How can I honor you? How can I honor you? What can I do?" Because I'm not used to this. Then I wondered, well, maybe prophets in the Old Testament or New Testament that you see, maybe they went through a similar process. Maybe it wasn't as simple as it seems. They go up and they go, "God," they go up to Paul. He goes to Paul and says, "The person who owns this is going to have to go and suffer just like this," and ties himself up and so forth, binds himself. Maybe there was a lot of struggle there prior to that. We don't know. Ananias, we don't really know how much grief he went through before he went to pray with Paul. We don't know. What was that experience like? Maybe it's all different, just like it is with something as important as the gospel, how someone responds to that. Or what happened to them when they became a Christian. Some Muslims become Christians in dreams. Some people have become Christians. We've heard from missionary stories about how they sent the gospel down in a bottle, and it conformed to their religious ideas they already had, and they became Christians from a bottle being sent down a river. I mean, that's just okay. So Pontius Pilate's wife has a dream. I can relate to a degree. Like, I've sat here and really just struggled with, God, what do I make of this? And if I could just tell anyone and give you the experience I had when I had these dreams, I would do it, but I can't. I can't even describe it. I try to describe it as a movie being downloaded straight into your brain, or maybe that I was put into an alternate experience where I was living a separate life. There's an episode of Star Trek where Picard lives an entire life. I hate to use Star Trek as a reference here, but he lives an entire alternative lifetime inside of a probe, right? It would be not an entirely different experience from this. I don't know a way. There is no perfect way to describe it. But I tell you what, when I see it, Pilate's wife was like, "What was the dream? What was that like?" Probably nothing like mine, I guess. But I know that our responses were similar. She says she suffered. Maybe that's the right word. I'm not sure. For me, stress. I've had stress over them. My friend asked me, he said, "Why dreams about Trump? What does that have to, why that?" I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know. Well, anyway, my primary goal with this was to show you that praise God in all things. My goal is to honor Him, and I'm at a loss for words exactly how to end this. I don't really know what to say other than I just hope that God is blessed by our efforts.